We often think of the economy as something outside of our control, like a living creature with a will of its own. But actually, my point is that the economy is more like a game we play. And like any game, it has rules. So at the moment, the golden rule of our economy is make as much money as possible. This is true whether you're an individual trying to increase your income, a firm striving to make a profit, or a government pursuing GDP at all costs. For all participants involved, the accumulation of money is good. This is what's essential. And we became so obsessed with this rule over time that it became the objective of the game. Grow the economy, amass GDP points. And in doing so, we forgot the very purpose of having an economy. An economy should provide for the needs of everyone. And of course, and it's in the name, it should economize resources. Paradoxically, the goal of an economy is to minimize its own existence. Nobody wants to play the game of economy all the time, and nobody should, because there's more to life than just the economy. A performant economy should liberate time for scientific, artistic, spiritual, and political activities, among many other non-economic things. It should enable us to leave as much of nature safely untouched and as much of our time joyfully unworked. This is what should be essential. But this is not the case today. We have an economic system that is organized around the pursuit of monetary accumulation, and therefore that is blind to most of what matters in life. GDP doesn't make the difference between the goods and the bads, it just measures economic agitation, regardless of whether this agitation is necessary, fair, or sustainable. So you might say the indicator is silly, but it's just a mean to achieve greater things. It is not anymore. Because beyond a certain threshold of GDP per capita, income completely ceases to correlate with happiness, health, education, trust, political engagement. In rich countries, we grow our economies without ending poverty. GDP is up, but society is down. And to add injury to insult, the more an economy grows, the more it destroys the living systems that support its very existence. Some people like to talk of a green growth, but that's a scam. All the scientific evidence shows that economic growth is still heavily coupled with various forms of environmental degradation. Calling the growth of rich countries green is stretching the word beyond any useful meaning. There is very little that is green about growth. Our fast and furious, biophysically obese capitalist economies are leading most of the world, starting with the most vulnerable, to a social ecological disaster. So we need to ditch this mystique of growth and remember that the growth game was built a long time ago, a time of war, reconstruction, and back at the time we thought infinite supplies of natural resources. But the growth game is unfit for the 21st century. We need new rules. And here comes COVID. And for the first time in modern history, the money game stopped. For once, we gave up abstract figures of GDP and focused on what matters, concrete needs. Suddenly, we realized that the lavishly paid marketers of luxury brands were not performing any useful work. And we also realized that the people who did hold the economy together happened to be the least rewarded for the labor. We realized protecting people from falling into poverty was more important than a random level of public deficit. And then keeping people alive was more important than reassuring financial markets. During the pandemic, we got a reminder that the economy has been socially constructed and can therefore be deconstructed and reconstructed. It's only a game we made. Now, let's remember this precious insight in our fight against climate breakdown and the collapse of biodiversity. Let's stop worrying over money points and let's look at what matters, whether you want to call it well-being, health, sustainability, or anything else. This is not only urgent, but also very exciting. For too long, we've been focused on predicting the future of the economy. But today, time to turn things around and instead invent the economy of the future.